You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christine Nicholas. I'm the chair of New York State Tourism Advisory Council, and welcome to Albany. It's so nice to be here. I think it's our first time here since COVID in this room, so it's good to be back in the blue room. I'm going to start by taking attendance for those video conferencing in, and I will call the names. I can see Valerie Monlock.
Here.
Here. Yes, and Alexandra? Dan? Yes?
Here.
Okay, good. Excellent. Let's just, is there anybody else that's on the phone that I do not see? Or on video?
Catherine.
Okay, Catherine Nicholas.
Present.
Okay. All right, so just as a reminder, we're going to stay on mute as much as possible. So now I'm going to just go around the room with introductions. Ross, why don't we go around on your side?
Sure. I'm Ross Levi. I'm the Executive Director of the New York State Division of Tourism.
Rich Gagliano, SVP Marketing and ESD.
And Dan Fuller, Tourism Advisory Council and at Bristol Mountain.
David Filipiak at Photographers Good New York in New York City.
Good morning, Natasha Caputo, Director of Tourism and Film, Westchester County, Hudson Valley region.
Greg Leduca, Vice President at Visit Rochester.
Greg Marshall, Genesee Journeys, representing the National Comedy Center.
Sarah Emmert with I Love New York.
Bob Provost with the New York State Tourism Industry Association.
Tom Martinelli, Content Studio, publisher of New York by Rail.
Linda Teckham with I Love New York.
Okay, Barbara Lee, thank you. Welcome. Amanda Dana, Orange County Tourism and Film, representing the Valley region.
Catherine Amber, Love New York.
And our newest member,
Kelly Plazowski, President of Oneida County Tourism, representing Central New York.
Great. You know, if you want to grab a seat here, if the sun is in your eyes, feel free. I don't know if it's easier to sit just a place else. So I'm going to start with the minutes. All members have been emailed a copy of the minutes, and they're also available on the ESD website. So I need a motion to, are there any changes first off? Anybody has any changes to the minutes? Okay, motion to.
I'll move the minutes.
Okay, Dan Fuller. I need a second.
So moved.
Thank you, Althea. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, any opposed? Hearing no opposed, motion carries and the minutes are approved. So I'd also like to thank everyone for being at the State Capitol today. And as you know, today is also the Lodging and Destination Advocacy Conference hosted by New York State Hospitality and Tourism Association. Just want to make sure I got that right. So last time, followed by their advocacy day. So there's going to be today a conference. Many of you are attending. You're all welcome. And then tomorrow there's the advocacy day. So a big part of what we're meeting in Albany is so that TAC members could also be part of this event to advocate for our tourism industry. So I want to thank you in advance, not only for being here, but for all the work that you do each and every day on behalf of New York State Tourism. Mishna has shared some of the main advocacy issues that have been the main focus for the legislative session, which were also discussed during the lobby day earlier in February with destination marketing organizations around the state. These topics include increasing funding for the Tourism Matching Grant Program, extending and enhancing the New York State Build Tax Credit, indexing the minimum wage to inflation, and establishing legislation to enable the creation of tourism improvement districts. For my report today, I'm going to briefly highlight some tourism-related news and announcements since we last met in January. But first, I wanted to welcome Kelly Blazowski as our newest appointed member of TAC. Kelly has been the executive in the tourism industry for 23 years and has served as president of Oneida County Tourism since 2009. She is the immediate past chair of the Central New York Vacation Region and currently serves on the board of directors of the New York State Destination Marketing Organization and Canal New York. She is a member of SCAL, International Albany Chapter, former board member of the New York State Tourism Industry Association, and the Adirondack North Country Association. So I think those credentials are well in check, my goodness. Governor Hochul appointed Kelly to the Tourism Advisory Council in February, and we are so pleased to have her join us. Kelly's going to speak more about the Central New York region later in the meeting to give us some more updates on our region. But right now, Kelly, anything that you want to add or say at your first meeting in TAC, we're very happy to have you.
Just thank you. It's an honor to be appointed and serve in representation of my team and Ross as well, and to Governor Hochul.
Thank you so much. Kelly's appointment succeeds Tom Mulroy on our council, and I just want to thank Tom for his contributions to the TAC over the many years. Tom was one of our longest serving members, and we appreciate his insights and expertise over the years. And I'm sure we'll hear more from Tom as he's opening up a big conference center as part of the Culinary Institute in the Hudson, right, Belfield. So we wish him all of that. So now to the executive budget. Last month, Governor Hochul released her executive budget, which outlines continued support for the tourism industry, funding cultural organizations and supporting I Love New York programming to investments in critical infrastructure projects and state parks and public transit hubs. The executive budget proposes $58.5 million for the I Love New York program and advertising campaigns, which attract visitors from around the world. This includes an additional round of $15 million in competitive funding through the Market New York program. Additionally, the executive budget supports the tourism industry through extending the New York musical and theatrical production tax credit, investing $200 million in the statewide park system, investing $14 million for maintenance and improvements of the state fairgrounds, $845 million in new economic and community development funding, including a 7th round of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative and capital funding for the Olympic Regional Development Authority, known as ORDA. $455 million to fund redevelopment of Belmont Park, creating new tracks and parking and building a new clubhouse, and continued modernization of major transit hubs, including the Gateway Hudson Tunnel Project, $18.5 billion improvements to JFK Airport, and $52 billion for MTA capital programs to update accessibility on subways, upgrade tolling systems, and improve Penn Station access. Last month, the governor also announced that annual attendance at New York State's parks, historic sites, campgrounds, and trails saw a record 79.5 million visits in 2022. Record attendance. Total visits statewide increased by more than 1 million compared to the previous year, underscoring Governor Hochul's commitment to ensuring that the investment in parks and recreation will pay off for New Yorkers and visitors alike. New York State park attendance has been steadily climbing for more than a decade, rising nearly 43% since 2008. Among the most visited state parks in 2022 were, anybody want to guess?
Right on here.
Niagara Falls, and Jones Beach, Robert Moses, Bear Mountain, and Saratoga Spa State Parks. For Taste New York, Governor Hochul also kicked off the state's 10-year anniversary celebrations for Taste New York, New York's official Eat Local, Drink Local program at the Finger Lakes Welcome Center in Geneva. The event showcased the diversity and uniqueness of New York State's farmers and food and beverage producers, as well as regional tourism destinations. Over the past 10 years, Taste New York has generated over $100 million in economic impact to New York State producers. Products can now be found in nearly 70 locations across New York State, including the 11 regional welcome centers, airports, state parks, and the Javits Center. Over the last decade, Taste New York has also partnered with major sports venues and formed partnerships with high-profile event organizers to bring Taste New York products to major sporting events such as the PGA Tour, the 2023 FISU World University Games, and the Saratoga Race Course. This one's for you, free snowmobiling weekend. This past weekend, we also was also the free snowmobiling weekend across New York State from March 3rd to 5th this year, and annually thereafter. The first consecutive Saturday and Sunday in March will be free for all out-of-state and Canadian snowmobilers. During the weekend, the requirement to register in New York was waived for properly registered and insured out-of-state snowmobilers who wish to explore New York's 10,500 miles of trails. This promotion reinforces the importance of winter tourism activities to state and local economies and the commitment to continue this annual tradition at the same time each year, which will help I Love New York encourage visitors to return to the state more consistently and further in advance, and hopefully spur annual traditions for guests to visit the years to come. So Dan, I mean, all we need is some more snow. You can work on that. That's your mission, Kelly. Just a total test, there you go. So that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay. Now I'll turn it over to Ross for an update on our programming.
Thank you, Christine. Welcome everybody to the Capitol District in Albany, historic Capitol building. I wish I could give you all a tour. It's a great building with a lot of great history. We're thrilled to have you here, and equally importantly, we're thrilled to have you here as part of the NYSHNA conference. I'll be seeing you all there afterwards as well. Currently, this is the time of year that I Love New York and our marketing and tourism department is engaged in our planning for the upcoming fiscal year. So in the coming weeks, we are working on putting together work plans that are informed not only by our assessments of what's happened during the prior fiscal year's work, but also from ongoing market research that we do, travel trends that we're aware of, a few trends that we are keeping an eye on that I thought everyone else would be interested in hearing, some overarching themes that are going to help shape our work. First of all, travelers' desires to plan more staycations, the idea of staying closer to home. In this case, staycations is just staying at home and traveling nearby, but just staying nearby, even if that's in a hotel. Affordability, obviously, in lodging and activities is important with the economy. More frequent, it's and shorter getaways. Rather than it just being about that one big vacation of the year, that there's the idea of going away a few times a year, even if that's not necessarily for a week, that maybe just for a long weekend, that kind of thing. And the desire for an easier trip planning process. This was actually really interesting. And I've heard it before when we did focus groups years ago. We heard that one of the reasons people liked New York State was how easy it was to vacation here. You didn't have to plan it necessarily, a year ahead of time, make all kinds of complicated arrangements, and have to worry about airport security necessarily, right? That it was easy a couple weeks ahead of time to say, let's do something, find a place, get in the car and go. And that is becoming apparently even more so to travelers. The idea of ease, the anxiety of planning a vacation is apparently very high for people. And vacations that are easier to do have as much appeal as being on vacation itself. So that's a trend, hopefully that's going to benefit New York. So we look forward to sharing more details about our plans as they develop and those plans come together in the upcoming weeks and months. In the meantime, of course, we're still busy promoting winter in New York through at least the end of March, hopefully into April. Spring skiing is a thing for sure, and we need to remind people that even if they don't see snow out their windows, there is snow on the mountains, and that spring is a great time to enjoy that skiing. Temperatures are moderated, great time to go. I will remember the wisdom I got from my colleagues in the ski industry who told me better to have an inch in Long Island than 6 inches on the mountain, because you can always produce snow on the mountains, but getting people in the mindset and being aware that skiing is good is the hard part. So we're trying to do that a lot in promoting winter through all our channels. So for example, we hosted travel journalists on our first post-COVID group fan tour this past week. And I joined the journalists in the Hudson Valley in Ulster for writers from outlets such as Cosmo and Thrillist. They're visiting boutique hotels in Kingston. That's where I saw them, and enjoying skiing in Windham Mountain. So getting them out as a group into New York State, the Catskills, and the Hudson Valley. Our next group press trip is later this month with the theme of a spring detox from the city to visit spas and popular outdoor attractions in the Hudson Valley to relax and recharge. We certainly know that wellness is an important trend that travelers care about, and thus travel journalists care about. Another winter promotion, the I Love New York LGBTQ program, worked with the Aspen Gay Ski Week, one of the biggest LGBTQ ski events in the nation, for their 46th annual celebration in January. It was attended by over 1,500 guests, and the annual ski week draws LGBTQ travelers from across the country to Aspen for a full week of events, gatherings, and skiing. And so while the I Love New York LGBT program, most of our activities happen in the summer connected to Pride events, we saw this partnership as a really good opportunity to promote the program and New York State during winter, which we don't always get to do with this audience. And especially to this is a highly motivated travel market. These folks have traveled from all over the nation to go and be a part of this week, so we know they like to travel. So as part of that partnership, we received full page placements in the 3,000 printed program guides, logo placement on their website, event materials, and inclusion of the New York State LGBTQ guide and branded winter beanies that we had made, and over 1,500 gift bags that were distributed to their guests. So we hope that gave them the incentive and the encouragement to come and visit New York for their next trip. On the international front, 2022 was a year of transition. Coincidentally, all of our international rep contracts came to the end of their terms during 2022. That means RFP hell. No, that means lots of procurement, lots of bidding. We're happy to announce that our Canada, United Kingdom, and Germany contracts were just finalized. Reach Global is returning as our Canadian representation. KBC PR and Marketing is our new United Kingdom rep, and Whiteman Tourism Services is our new German. Our Australian contract is not far behind. They've been identified. It's just finishing the contract process, and we expect that to be announced literally any day. So each firm, as you know, serves as our I Love New York office in their respective markets, acting as I Love New York's representative, responsible for travel, trade, sales, marketing, and public relations in their respective countries. They focus on driving visitation throughout the state and encouraging travelers to extend their trips and explore the extensive range of visitor experiences available across our 11 vacation region. So their work can include things like training travel agents and tour operators on the New York State product, growing the number of New York State vacation itineraries being sold by agents and operators, facilitating marketing campaigns and co-ops, and pitching New York State tourism to the international media. As an example, KBC has already attended several trade shows on our behalf, including Holiday World in Dublin, which some of you know, and Destinations London. Most recently, GTI, our outgoing Australian rep, partnered with Mark Wilson on the Isle of New York team to represent New York State at the Brand USA Australian B2B Day and Brand USA Auckland Travel Agent Expo, which had over 150 tour operators and travel agents from across New Zealand. GTI was able to hold a meeting with Qantas Airlines and Qantas Hotels and Holidays to discuss support and marketing of their new direct service from JFK starting in June of 2023. You heard me talk about that at the last meeting. Those flights coming from New Zealand and from Australia directly to the East Coast are going to be really important opportunities for us. Those events were our first in-country activations in Australia since COVID and are being done now to capitalize on the significant investment that I was alluding to from Air New Zealand and Qantas to promote their new nonstop flights to New York State. And we look forward to participating in IPW coming to San Antonio in May. And we'll of course look forward to reporting back to TAC at our next meeting, which will be just a couple of weeks after that. So if I'm a little tired, you'll understand why. Hopefully you saw that on February 24th, Governor Hochul announced plans for an I Love New York Black Travel Initiative. It was a very exciting announcement, part of Black History Month. And this initiative is designed to grow New York State tourism and encourage Black traveler visitation. The announcement was made at appropriately enough, at the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, a very appropriate place for Black History Month. In attendance were TAC member George and Tim, as well as tourism partners from New York City and Company, Travel Unity, Ronnie was here, was also there, as well as attractions such as the Hip Hop Museum and the Jackie Robinson Museum. There was a short program which was kicked off by this really incredibly moving piece from the dancers at Alvin Ailey. Every time I see them, I'm just floored. It's amazing. No pun intended. Dance. The governor spoke for about 10 minutes, sharing her travels throughout New York State and her passion for the wealth of attractions and activities that the state has to offer Black travelers. She really spoke from the heart in all these things she has seen and done. How much she wants New York State to share these stories. We're going to actually share a quick moment of her comments from that event. You can see that on the video screen.
Just a teaser video, and we're in the process of developing a whole marketing campaign around this. And why are we doing this? Studies show that Black travelers are making a more significant share of leisure travelers. 64% of Black travelers surveyed said that the availability of Black cultural sites and history is part of their decision-making on where to go. So you put that together, more individuals are traveling. This is part of their thought process in deciding their destination. And so that's what we're going to capture. That's who we're going after. And it also tells the story of New York State's the good, the bad, areas to improve. There's a story here. But it's also, in light of what's happening in other states, it tells our story of inclusion and how we embrace this story. So we're rolling out the red carpet to travelers near and far, Black travelers, other travelers who want to have a shared experience and highlight our vibrant, extremely vibrant Black culture here. So we have attractions and museums.
So if you want to see the whole thing, it is available on the governor's website. I encourage you, including the dance program. So I encourage you to take a look. The governor, at the beginning, you heard her say that's a teaser. That's actually, she was referring to a video that our team put together to show the wealth of attractions in this area that we'll be promoting as part of this. We'd be interested to see that as well. So as the governor said, that's just a teaser, but that gives you a sense of really the incredible wealth of attractions and activities we have for this market segment. It's obviously building on the success of our other state tourism programs, our segment tourism programs like I Love New York LGBTQ and Accessible New York. And so this is another opportunity to highlight the state with specific travel communities. We're currently in the phase now of engaging in data collection and stakeholder outreach to inform the effective development of this program. So this announcement wasn't so much launching of the formal campaign, but allowing us to actually go out and say, great, the governor's announced it. We can go out there now and talk to people and make sure we're getting all the information we need to do this effectively. So we're conducting the market research, we're connecting with tourism partners across the state about how we can best support their efforts. There's people that have been in this segment for a long time. We're not pretending the state's just walking in with something new. Our goal is to amplify and unify what's already going out there. So both consumer-facing elements and travel trade efforts of the Black Travel Initiative will go out in the upcoming weeks and months. In the meantime, businesses and organizations operating attractions, destinations, events, and services of interest to Black travelers are encouraged to make sure they're in the I Love New York database, so they can be promoted on ilovenewyork.com, in the I Love New York mobile app, and through the other appropriate I Love New York platforms. So more information and qualification criteria on that are available on our website, and we look forward to sharing more information with you on this exciting initiative in the upcoming meetings. Lastly, as I mentioned in our last meeting, I Love New York participated in the American Bus Association Marketplace last month in Detroit. The marketplace was attended by 360 top bus and tour operators. The show is very much back in full force. There were numerous opportunities to connect with operators. Monday sort of officially has become New York Day by virtue of us hosting, along with DMOs of New York, a breakfast in the morning. You could see the picture there. Then Broadway.com hosts a luncheon promoting Broadway shows. And then in that evening, we have a New York State dinner. So basically, people really hear about New York all throughout that day. During the breakfast, we presented on new developments in the group market. And then, as we've done for a few years now, it's now becoming a tradition, we provided a comedian in partnership with the National Comedy Center. Comedian Pat Hazel performed entertainment. He's a former writer of Seinfeld, among many other things. He was a huge hit. He was literally laughing to tears. He knew this was a traveling group. So he started showing slides literally from his family vacations from when he was a kid, making fun of his family. It was great. So yeah, our theme was basically start your day with a laugh. And it was a great way to get people open and hearing about New York State. But in addition to that, obviously the actual meetings are an important part of that. I participated in nearly 40 meetings back to back, about 7 minutes apiece, just move from one to the other, talking to operators who are interested in selling new or additional New York State products for their clients. And there's a real receptivity in New York State, which is really great to hear. And as a result of those appointments and hosting breakfast, the division will continue our work building a database of contacts with tour operators to continue pitching New York State, both on our own and in partnership with our local TPA partners, sharing that information, and providing fan tour opportunities and pitching new and emerging developments across the state. So that's my report of activities since we met just a couple of short months ago.
I have a couple of questions, Ross.
Yes, some questions would be great.
Yes, go ahead.
Ross, I'm curious. I saw that you retained some of our international operator contracts. I think you've swapped out a contract or two. I'm curious if you can elaborate a bit about the metrics that would make you retain an international consultant or agency versus change.
Yeah, so it's, as you can imagine, it is a state RFP process. So you actually don't get any favorability by being our current. It's not a decision of whether we want to keep a current one or not. There is a set time for a contract, and the state kind of wants to keep that to 2 to 4 years, basically. When the contract is up, it's as if you never had a rep and you just start the process again. The RFP lays out that criteria. We look at their experience, their connections, who are their other clients, and also looking forward, they have to sort of basically put together a mini proposal in terms of how they would promote New York State. What do they think are our unique attributes, or what do they think would be the best way to sell us in their respective markets? We go through an interview process. They're scored by a committee, and then the highest score in combination with their budget and how much they've proposed, because the state always has to take costs into consideration, ends up with the end result of who is selected. I think you may be amused.
Thing on the RFP that says if they've previously worked in a tourism capacity that we should assess their past performance?
Yes, certainly they actually have been working in the tourism industry for, I think it's a minimum of 5 years. And then beyond that, we look at even more than that. Like I said, I'm a member of that committee, probably obviously. So it's important to me to see who their clients are. I'm interested in, for example, have they ever represented a state DMO before? Because sometimes you'll get folks that have only represented, other countries saying that's useful, but that may not be as useful for us. So yeah, we look very concretely at, and they have to provide work product in terms of what they've done for other clients. They give sort of case studies. So that gives us a good sense of what they've done before. And like I said, that's in addition to talking about what they want to do for us specifically.
Thank you.
Sure. I believe if that RFP is not still online, we certainly can get it if anyone wants to see it. But obviously it changes, for whatever services we're looking for.
That was actually my question, but to follow up on that, the UK and the Germany offices, did they decline to re-up, or were they outbid by these 2 new offices?
If I remember correctly, I think they didn't apply. I'm pretty sure Germany did not respond to the RFP.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. But I can follow up on for certain. But that's my recollection. Going through 3 of these, going through 3 of these, you mentioned, so a little bit of a blur. But I believe that's the case.
Bit of a blur. And you mentioned that you're asking them what they think New York can bring to the audience, their audiences. I assume you also give them some direction of here are our strategies for the next 2 to 3 years of.
Not so much during the RFP process, to be honest. We kind of want to hear with a bit of a clean slate what they think. It's a little bit, frankly, of a test to hear that, like, what is your advice on our strategy? What do you think we should be doing in Germany or UK or Australia? And even if they're off the mark, it still tells us a lot about their thinking. And off the mark's not even the right term. Even if it doesn't align necessarily with our strategy, first of all, sometimes it gives us good ideas and makes us rethink what we're doing. But even more so, it just tells us how they think. And so, no, we certainly lay out for them, just basics of who we are, what we do, and why we're involved in international markets. But we don't get very specific by market because we kind of want to hear their consent.
I have another question, different topic.
Yeah.
Is this the first time New York State has done a Black travel outreach program, or are we bringing it back that maybe is stalled?
As far as I know, this is the first specific program. Now, obviously, we've not been invisible to this population. We have had a Black travel section on our website. We are very conscious about inclusive imagery throughout all of our platforms. So there's a number of different ways we've been involved, but no, this is the first time we've had a named-specific ongoing program. Like I said, similar to the way we have for Accessible New York, for our New York LGBTQ. So no, it's an exciting new initiative.
And you mentioned accessibility and LGBTQ. Are there other segments you might have on the horizon that you have your eyes out that, as we're expanding?
Sure.
Inclusivity?
Sure. I don't want to say more, except to say that yes, we're constantly looking for new opportunities. We know this isn't the end of it. We know that there are a lot of lucrative, for lack of a better term, travel segments. So we're always looking for new opportunities. And as you've seen already with this progression, which is taking place over a number of years, we're going to be continuing to, I think, to look for new opportunities.
Part of that process is research. What is a universe? What's opportunity? We have the right sort of attractions to fill that opportunity? Is the revenue based on it? So part of our decision on what segment to sort of focus on next is going to be based on market research as well.
Right. I find it interesting, as you know, NYC and Company has become quite active in this strategy in the last couple of years. If there's any complementary if we're welcoming a segment into New York City, would it just amplify more if we welcome a similar segment into the state as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. We certainly have been aware of New York City and Company. We looked closely at their initiative as well. We've had meetings with them. We've continued to talk to them and others, frankly.
They were included in this too.
Great.
Yeah, they were there. And frankly, not only New York City, there are other TPAs across the state.
Would imagine
that have been
Buffalo.
in various segments as well. That's, like I said, going to be an important part of this as well, to learn from them. But I think you're right, David, in terms of going forward, that's helpful too, to not just go into an area that can be done better in a complementary fashion.
Do you have a suggestion?
No, I'm curious. Well, I'm coming from a New York City perspective, but you're right. Western part of the state. I just know that this is a trend that I think will resonate with certain segments, is making sure they feel welcomed in the state just by dedicated outreach.
We need to work through as we work through how this is executed. How much of the messaging is outside the state to this audience to come to the state? How much of it is in Manhattan or New York City to go upstate? How much of it to come down, and vice versa? So that's something we're still working through. Best way to execute it.
One suggestion on that, though, I know for Westchester, we have it's actually the #1 brochure. It flies off the shelves, off of like certain throughways. And in the PA Turnpike is our African-American Heritage Trail. And we're creating beautiful like sculpture gardens along the riverfront. One of the challenges, and I know working with the local communities, is wayfinding and signage. So as you think about that program from a consistency, because it brings it all together, honestly, if it comes from the state side, you know how we do the DOT farm trails and other things. So I just wanted to put that out there.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Boss, just a question, going back a little bit. You talked about a spring detox type of family tour. Is there more information on that? Has it been set up already, or?
I would have to check back with the team. But yes, I believe that's in the process because it's only a month or so away. So I believe so.
Okay.
Suggestion?
Yeah, well, Hudson Valley is full of it, Yeah, so we have lots of things to
Yeah,
consider.
well, it's a Hudson Valley based tour, right?
I was wondering if it's just Hudson Valley.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the idea is supposed to be detox from the city kind of thing. So the idea, and again, these tours are often based on what journalists are telling us in terms of what they're writing or what their editors are asking for. And so this was a theme that we knew there was interest in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Very exciting stuff. So last meeting and previous meetings, we have been asking our TPA heads to give us an update on what their region is up to and how they're attracting visitors. We heard from Corey Fran from the Thousand Islands region, which is very interesting. And so with Kelly's first meeting, we thought this might be a great opportunity to listen to Kelly and learn more about what Central New York has. And it's a great way of learning more about you and how we can work together and support this region as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, honored to be here and to represent Central New York and give you a little bit of information and an overview on who we are. The counties we represent: Boone, Shenango, Brooklyn, Madison, United, and Otsego. So right in the center of the state. So I'll briefly go over. There we go. I know that's really hard to see, small slide. So I'll give you a snapshot of economic impact of the tourism industry in Central New York. This is from the Tourism Economic Research, and thank you very much. I Love New York, helping to write the cost of that for all of us. But in 2021, it showed direct spend increased by 80% versus 2020, and it was the fastest growing region across the state. The best performing region with direct spend up 149% versus pre-pandemic data from 2019. Oneida County rebounded at 164% of 2019 levels, and was the highest rebound of any county in the state. So, and food and beverage played a big role in that. It represented 18% of spend, and we'll see why in just a moment. Okay, our Beyond the Big Apple program is our international campaign. We put this together in really softly tested it in 2018, really started to work on it in 19, and then we all know what happened in the world. So, but it's our international campaign. We partnered at Central New York with Sullivan Catskills and Dutchess County Tourism. So we bring together the 3 regions for a suggested 9-day itinerary, focusing on culinary, craft beverage, outdoor activities, and the iconic attractions of the region. So we're still continuing with this messaging. It's really resonating and garnering attention at summer shows. For example, IPW will be carrying that message again in May. And back to the reason why food and beverage does so well. Our longstanding campaign is Bruce Central for the region, and it's a consumer campaign, crosses regions, and includes the 8 counties of Central New York plus 3 bordering counties. And as you can see there, we've got 48 breweries and multiple wineries, distilleries, and cideries. And a couple of fun facts about our 2 anchors is that FX Matt Brewery was the first to sell a beer at the end of Prohibition in 1933. FX Matt was here, or was in, DC, the day that Prohibition was repealed, and literally picked up the phone and said, "Sell beer." So we know we had to be making beer prior to that.
Good point, right?
Yeah. So, and then also Brewery Owned Gang is, of course, the official brewer of the Game of Thrones beer, which always, still attracts people and interest when you're talking about the region. And the other thing that has really impacted our food and beverage sales is our cheese trail and our agritourism experience. It launched again fall of 2019, just prior to the pandemic, but it's been a very successful consumer campaign. And it's a self-guided agritourism experience through the region. So we have 4 counties involved in that, 9 cheese producers, and excuse me, it's Madison, Oneida, Otsego, and Herkimer. And my colleague at Madison realized you put that together and you get moved. So it's been wildly successful. Our geographic, region, we're right in the middle of the state. As I said, it's easy access, open spaces, great for watchable wildlife experiences and outdoor recreation. Really contributed to the rebound that we realized, post-COVID and even getting through COVID, people just looking for space. Saw lots of downstate people coming upstate to find space to be with their families and enjoy loved one and special times. And that's resonated and it continues. This is Wolf Mountain Nature Center in Smyrna. They've got over 60 acres, and their mission is to foster appreciation and understanding the value and the role of wolves, coyotes, fox, and their natural environment. We have an abundance of lakes and waterways, in upstate. Oops, sorry. I have to gingerly push this or you get too many. Okay. An abundance of lakes and waterways in upstate that are significant attractors for recreational opportunities, paddling, boating, fishing for leisure and for sport. This is Schoharie Crossing Historic State Park in Montgomery County. And the Adirondack Railroad now is offering excursions. We thrilled last fall that the Utica to Tupper Lake excursion took place finally. And it just opens up so much flexibility along the corridor with stops, along the rail corridor and communities. It will be just much easier to present this product, and it now creates the longest scenic rail excursion on the East Coast. There are rail bikes that are offered by Adirondack Rail Bikes, as well as Rail Explorers in Cooperstown, has been wildly popular for spring, summer, and fall activities, and especially during when the pandemic opened up and things started moving. They were just overwhelmed with people wanting to experience the rail bikes. So we have, we're fortunate to have a diverse topography in the region, with the Adirondack Mountains in the north, offering countless adventures like mountain biking, to the canal corridor that bisects the entire region, and the rolling hills in the south. So we can just offer about any experience from high adventure to soft adventure. The Old Erie Canal State Park and the Empire State Trail. Of course, the first dig for the Erie Canal was in Rome, New York. And today, the Old Erie Canal State Park and the Empire State Trail, of course, attract the visitors from across the globe. And it's a very attractive product on the international market as well. And we have 98 miles bisecting our region in Montgomery, Herkimer, and Madison. Somebody's phone is beeping. Hey, Rich.
Maybe we can use them.
Okay.
Thank you. It's okay. Welcome to town.
Yeah.
Sorry. Try now.
Yep. Okay, and back to the snow dance we were talking about. Central New York, also blessed with 4 seasons, usually very healthy winters. This year we're behind on snowfall, but we have over 2,000 miles of snowmobile trails in the region. Of course, downhill ski areas with Macaulay Mountain and Woods Valley, and hundreds of miles of groomed cross-country trails, snowshoeing and ice fishing. And the oldest curling club in the eastern U.S. in Utica.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry I didn't put a picture in it, but we all know I have no pictures. The family fun experiences range from water safari adventures in Old Forge to unique one-of-a-kind exploration. For example, at Herkimer Diamond Mines, again, has a tremendous international appeal when you talk about diamonds. And the uniqueness that this is the only vein of these quartz crystals, and the only place you can find them is in Herkimer, New York.
I guess I gotta say
to underground explorations of how caverns in Schoharie County, and taking the underground kind of like gondola ride at the bottom is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then when you tell people, show them images, that we even have beachfront in the middle of the state on the east end of Oneida Lake. You can chill and enjoy Sylvan and Norma Beach with 2 miles of sandy beaches in a just iconic beachfront community.
Looks like Jamaica.
I know, it's gorgeous. That's Sylvan Beach in the middle of upstate New York. So we're really fortunate also to have 2 powerfully fun experiences in Central New York, that with the New York Power Authority, 2 interactive educational centers, one in North Glenham that's been there for a long time, and the newest in Utica at the John S. Dyson New York Energy Zone. Fully interactive, great experience for people of all ages, and takes you really through New York State's entire history and into the future of power generation here in New York State. Very hands-on, extremely hands-on. Our sports in the region is widely engaging across a wide variety of offerings, attracting and engaging athletes and families and spectators. This is Unadilla in New Berlin. It's a premier motocross destination for the United States. Boilermaker Road Race, of course, hosts over 19,000 runners with elite runners from around the world and has one of the largest wheelchair divisions in the U.S.
sort of sold out. Oh, that's right.
Yes, they're now post-pandemic, they're getting there, back to numbers, yes. And of course, we host AHL hockey in Utica with the Utica Comets, also major arena soccer leagues, and then of course history and current activity with the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, to the International Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota, to amazing golf courses throughout the region. This is in Dunyot and Verona and Oneida County, and they're all key tourism drivers. Our history, as well as the foundation for the region that has developed what we've developed into today. We can never forget our history. Of course, museums and historic sites like this is the Classic Park Museum in Norwich, to the Underground Railroad sites, the Garrett Smith Estate, Peterborough, which was interesting. Was happy to see that in the Black Travel Initiative are also important. To our national level national parks. The region does have, Fort Stanwix National Monument in Rome, which is a national park, as well as the Erie Canal Way National Heritage Corridor. So having two relationships with the national parks is important. We've tied that together with our Path Through History initiative a few years ago, and we really do keep the initiative moving forward and continue with marketing every year. We connected that with Bike Through History. So we've connected over 50 scenic sites on 30 curated routes, from very challenging to newbie bikers. Right. So that's been very well received. And Cooperstown is now offering a new product. It's their Triple Play Pass for families and groups. Packaged ticketing, offering the Fenimore Museum and Farmers Museum and the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And the pass is good for an entire year for the date of purchase. You don't have to use it that weekend that you're there. You can make multiple trips to Cooperstown and use your pass. So that's a great new product. Our Native American history is extremely important to the region. We have the National Kateri Shrine, that's a tough one to say, in Fonda, and it's the only completely excavated Iroquois village in the United States. And Saint Kateri is the patron saint of Canada. So hence we have thousands of Canadians that make a pilgrimage every year to the shrine of Our Lady of Martyrs in Auriesville. So that's a very important part of our history, as well as the Shicoy Cultural Center for the Oneida Nation in the area. Arts and culture destinations deliver unexpected experiences. This is an image of the reflecting pond in Arkell, at the Arkell in Canterbury, and they host an amazing collection of Homer, White, and Rockwell, for example. We have, a long list of arts and cultural experiences there, as well as interactive projects like the Bluma Projection Festival in Binghamton, which attracts thousands of visitors for an immersive and colorful projection mapping experience throughout the downtown. Broadway Theater is live and well on stage at the Stanley Theater in Utica. They host an annual Broadway series. It's become a premier destination Utica has, as well as for the Stanley Theater for tech show production. So every year, literally, they have a list of shows that want to tech in Utica. They have to turn them away. They're so busy, and it can only take a couple a year. And the Stanley is also a certified sound stage attracting film production, and that tax credit is so important as an incentive for Binghamton, for Utica, for Cooperstown, because we're all active in that marketplace. And this year also, this is just newly announced, the Glimmerglass lineup for this year as well. And of course, that is in Cooperstown. The Glimmerglass Festival, July, is just packed with great opera and musical theater on Otsego Lake. And this year we are celebrating 30 years of Turning Stone Resort Casino. So it's their 30th anniversary. Natasha doesn't exactly know that can't be possible.
Yeah.
It's their 30th anniversary this year, hosting visitors from around the world. They've really transformed Central New York's tourism product. They continue to expand and develop their main campus in Verona and have invested considerably in nearby Silver Beach with the build out of the Cove and all of the experiences that they brought there. So, I mean, that's everything. The region has rebounded really great. It's not everything. That's everything I could give you in 20 minutes. But everything I've touched on though also continues, with their struggles with workforce issues, housing. Turning Stone has had to build housing to attract people to be able to give them a decent place to stay. And they're underwriting the costs of living for new employees that they're attracted to the region. So challenges with the U.S. visa worker program, impacting water supply still. So we're rebounding greatly and we're very happy, but there are still big issues. So that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions?
Kelly, I have a question. There is a project proposed, I believe it's in Utica. It's a sports tourism project, a sports facility.
It's open. That's Nexus.
It's open?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a build out. It's 3 more sheets of ice. They just cut the ribbon on it in December 5th. And we're hosting hockey is their main focus. It's an amateur hockey. But it does have changeable surfaces. So, they'll be able to, they can pipe and drink it for a conference, they do just about anything. So with it's connected and adjacent to and connected to the Adirondack Bank Center, which is the War Memorial. So that will then, the complex now has 4 sheets of ice. So it's up and operating. Yeah. Yeah,
Kelly, I'm curious, our last TAC meeting, we heard about some challenges. It was a region closer to the Canadian border that the Canadian tourists weren't coming to that region because it was too close and not deemed worth the hassle. Have you seen a similar lopsided impact, or are Canadians starting to come back
they're
to
starting
the
to
region?
come back to the region. Yeah, absolutely they are. For Turning Stone, for certain. Yeah, they're starting to come back to the region. Any other questions?
Terrific. Thank you so much, Kelly.
A little bit, I guess, just before, the meeting, I was talking to Ross and I mentioned that we might have a record year this year, and he was all excited, but the record was in the wrong way. It was probably before the least amount of natural snow we received this year. And really what that's done is put a spotlight on snowmaking. And I think the adage that was mentioned earlier about an inch of snow in Long Island or any of our metropolitan areas really makes a big difference. So that kind of spotlights what we need to do from an educational standpoint, because all winter we provided pretty good surface and great skiing conditions across the whole state. So, as we go forward, it's critical for our industry in New York really to improve our ability to make snow and also do it on an energy efficient manner.
So the number, even though you were able to provide the service, were you able to attract the visitors?
Yeah, we did. And I think maybe just to build on Kelly's remark, we started to see some of the Canadian market come back in February, which was good. And we look forward maybe to that increasing this next year. But as I hear Kelly's remarks today, that's one region in New York. Multiply it times all the other regions, and boy, we have such a great tourism product across the state. It's just unbelievable.
The photos were spectacular.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. So, makes us feel good.
Thank you.
Encourages us. Anybody else?
Is there any initial information on the impact of the World University Games in the Adirondacks and Lake Placid area?
That report is being worked on. I think LP23 is more of the core report coming out of it. I don't know when that is due to be released, but I know that that's being worked on right now.
There's supposed to be a summary report at the New York State Tourism Conference in April. Ashley will be presenting.
Just a reminder, our next meeting, as Ross mentioned, is Wednesday, May 31st. It's in New York. It's after Memorial Day, and that date seems a little late, but it is after Memorial Day. It is a Wednesday, so if you are traveling to New York, you might want to just be reminded that that is also matinee day. Just a suggestion. Considering that all of the new shows are going to be opened up behind that, because then they will be Tony eligible.
Right, and you get to see it just a few weeks before the Tony, so a great time.
Yep. And also, Russ and I will divide and conquer. We have the NYC and Company annual meeting on March 28th. And the exciting, when we talked about our international offices, they are bringing for the first time since COVID, all of their international offices into New York for a BAM tour. So that's obviously, they're focused on New York City, but they have 14 individuals coming in, covering their offices, even more. I think the total number is 35 people. So that's going to help New York State as well. So I need a motion to okay, Natasha, and a second.
I'll second.
Dan,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you very much. So I have to say the time is now 12:02. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all of your time.